Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics with a creative grid notion video for you today. Deb Heatherly has been at it again. She is an amazing designer for Creative Grid, the Flying Geese tool, and so many others. She has made the half rectangle trim tool. It makes this amazing quilt called Scintillation by Bonnie Sullivan, all through the night. Beautiful woolly flannel on the set with me, color wash woolly to the left and the right. This quilt's flannel. It's cold in Idaho. These are the types of quilts, right? We grab for those when it's movie night, popcorn and pizza, and we're snuggling up on the couch. A nice size, 64 by 80. So if you love big quilts, even little quilts, but you love this block, this is the block right here. It is two colors, color and a black. You know, the black really helps the color pop. It's not, you'd think, what's the big deal? It is not as easy of a block as you would think. However, with Deb's tool, even a beginner can absolutely make this quilt, and with a lot of speed and, of course, precision. So it's not a required tool to make scintillation, but if you want to have an easy time and really assure your success, pick up the tool. And I love that it also makes multiple sizes. Deb loves to make Creative Grid tools that offer all kinds of size options ranging from 1 by 2 finish, that's so tiny, so cute, for a miniature quilt, all the way up to 4 by 8. That's us today. This block here finishes at 4 by 8. Layer cake friendly for the bigger size. So our chart lets us know here what size to be cutting our fabrics to. Since we're going for the 4 by 8, it's saying we need to cut 2 5 by 10. As we all know, layer cakes are 10 by 10. Simply get out your 10 by 10 inch squares and just cut them right in half. I've done that with my green as well as my black. And I've got a couple sets here because we have both a left slant and a right slant. And right away, we'll be diving right into this half rectangle trim tool, talking about these slants. So step one, we'll be grabbing a straight edge. I have my 6.5 by 12.5. And make sure your fabrics are right side up. Very important, very important. So both of those are right side up. And for the first group, notice I'm slanting to the right. And for the next cut, I'm slanting the opposite direction. You can see that is very important for us, right? This is going this way and this is going this way. So being very mindful about right slant, left slant is very important for this project. For the fabrics that are slanting to the right, right away, and I'm just going to put this set up here, right away we're going to start using a function on our tool. We'll use the tool several times, and let's just look at this A and B. Notice this picture right here. This picture showing the right triangle, the right corner, and this is representing this right slant, all right? For that group, which is right side up, the first thing we'll be doing is lining up these lines right in here and trimming the tips of that. And the same with B over in this corner. For the side that's slanting the opposite direction to the left, we just simply need to flip that fabric over and we'll do the same trims. But let me do that with you together because when I first heard that, I'm like, what did she just say? So let me trim these together and I want to show you how simple this is. So easy, so easy. You know what, once you figure out how to use a tool, the rest is just a cakewalk. So as I said, make sure your fabric is still nice and stacked. We're going to just slide that tool down until we're lined up on the left and the right, and we'll make a trim. I'm going to turn. A spinning mat's not required, but definitely more helpful. Notice the picture. Make sure your fabric is oriented as shown in the photo. And once again, move the tool down till you're exposing the corner and trim. So the first set, notice that was a right slant, is done. I'm going to trim up the next set, and then I want to do the left slant with you, which will be simply turning the fabric upside down. So A, B, And now for this group, let's look at that. You would think, and I did. I was like, I don't need to read the directions. Yes, I do. You don't though, because you're watching this video. I thought, well, what's the problem? That fits right in there. And went to trim. And Tammy's like, no, wait. Look how your orientation of your triangle does not look like that. And this would be cut at a different angle. Okay, now what do? No problem. Simply flip the fabric over, because notice now it has the same footprint as the right slant. Now we will come in. Notice how our triangle looks just like this one here. Now we trim. And down here, trim, and same. Flip it over. I always like to do a check. Does my triangle fit what I'm looking at right now? Yep, then you're doing it right. And the opposite side, or I shouldn't say opposite, the other corner rather. See how our triangle is in the same profile? We're good. We trim. Now that we have this, now what are we doing? You'll take your pear, right? And we know that's what we're trying to achieve. So simply flip that over, set that in the corner, pin well, pin very well. While I'm pinning these together, let's talk about thread, let's talk about stitch length. Flannel by nature is just loose, has a looser weave. It's a different process. It's a different base cloth. For that reason, I like to sew on a shorter stitch length because the default stitch length on a Bernina is actually a 2.5. We have this dialed back today at about a 2.15. You can even go to a 2 thread. I've got a 50 weight or a fill in here. I wouldn't sew with anything with a higher or a thinner thread than that. Again, the looser weave, we just want a thread going into that. Maybe a 50 weight is definitely the thread of choice. Well, go ahead and stitch on this one, and I'm going to do one on this one as well. I want to show you a left and a right, and I want to show you how this notching that is created by this tool is absolute gold. There is a process to do this written in the pattern, and it is definitely achievable, but it's just so much simpler, right? So much simpler to just use the tool. And there's a really cool trim function. We're making an oversized unit, and then we get to square up. So I'll go sew those together, and when I come back, I'll have those pressed open, and then we're going to trim up our patchwork. Okay, now what do? Now we go back to our tool, and let's just once again look at the other part of what this tool will do for us. Remember how I said we made oversized blocks, and we're finishing this at 4x8. So notice there's the different sizes. There we are at a 4x8. There's a right slant trimming function, and there's a left slant over on this side. Let me just turn this so you can see that. So you can see there's that line representing our seam allowance. And over here is this representing. So let's start over here. Let's just start on this side. We're over on that one. I'm going to show you those both to you. But it's the same function, but I don't leave any mystery, no mysteries. I want you to be successful. So let's move our paper and let's use our tool. This is where a spinning mat is awesome because I don't want to lift up the block. Once I start trimming, I don't want to lift it up again until it's fully trimmed. Again, not required, but if you're looking for really precise quilt blocks, just invest in a spinning mat. I'm putting that black diagonal line along my seam guide, not my seam, but my seam guide, with the whole goal being that I'm simply trying to expose the bottom, the right, the top, and have a little bit of something to square up on all 4 sides. So you can really be anywhere along here you want to be, as long as you have a chance at squaring up everything. And I see that I do. So I'm going to come along the bottom. Notice I will not pick up the quilt block until this is complete. So we've trimmed all 3 sides, but we can't get to this. No problem. Simply lift up the tool, turn it 180 degrees. We know these 3 sides have been trimmed, so you're lining up top, side, and bottom, exposing the right side, and we give a trim. I want to point out something to you that is very important that I thought at first when I saw it was a mistake. Look at this little bit right there. See this little bit of 1/8 of an inch of a kind of a flag, both here and here. You want that. You need that when you get ready to sew these units together. Otherwise, you will clip off your points. So if you see that little bit, that means you did it right. Good job. All right, so that's the one side. We used the right slant trim. The left slant trim is not different. Same process. Diagonal lays down. The whole goal being we want to just expose all 3 sides and then be able to trim up on that last side. So we'll trim, trim, trim. I'm going to keep turning. So we know to get to that side, we simply rotate our tool 180 degrees. We're along our diagonal alignment, trim. Let's look for those little flags right there and right there. What that does for us when we get ready to sew the block together, let's look at this, is that allows that point to come out perfectly. Let's just sew this together. I want to prove to you how precise it makes of a block like this and how it makes this quilt, which a beginner would say, oh my gosh, don't even think that. Don't even think that. If you can follow along with this process, it's very repeatable, as you can see. You can absolutely make this quilt pin, 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 just like we always do. I'm going to pin right along that diagonal. And let's sew our 1/4 inch seam and check our block. Let's see how we did. Look at that. That is so beautiful. It makes it all come together. Then, just give it a little bit of a press here. Then, when we sew these rows together, notice how we need that black up there, right? So that when we sew these rows together, again, we don't clip that. So the point should be back from the top. So if you don't see green all the way to the top, you shouldn't, because we have to allow for the 1/4 inch seam allowance to pass right here. Awesome, awesome tool. So if you haven't made the investment in Creative Grid tools, I was a slow starter, I'll tell you that. For years, I was my sewing room was a hodgepodge of rulers. Creative Grid has done so much thinking, so much problem solving, and it truly takes sewing, some of those things we find challenging, and makes it fun to use a ruler that you can have proven results. Be sure to pick up your half rectangle trim tool, the spinning mat, any notions you might need, and I'll see you soon on another Shabby Fabrics video.